Packer fans, what is up? It is Victory Monday. The Packers beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 14-12. What a crazy win. I really thought that the Packers kept letting Brady stay in the game too long and we were going to get Tom Brady, goated or whatever they call it. And this defense, this Packers defense, held strong, stood up to the test, got a little bit of a break, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and then really made a huge play at the end to stop Brady. But the percentages from a 2-point conversion from the two are like 50% or so in the NFL. You go back to the 7-yard line, now you're at about like 10%, I'm guessing. So, much different. A GOAT should never have a delayed game penalty in such a crucial situation, but that's just me. Rodgers always takes it down 2-0, but he normally gets the ball off. What a crazy game. From the start, it looked like the Packers were going to blow them out. It looked like it was going to be 21-3 going into halftime. Rodgers throws it to Jones, who's normally really reliable. I could tell the heat was getting to him. I could tell it was getting to him. But then Vita Vea went back on a zone read and ended up being like behind Jones when he caught it. And that's a 350-pound man who came running full speed and hit Jones in the back as Jones was getting hit in the side from Devin White. I think any of us would have fumbled that. We all hoped he would have held on to it. It would have been pretty much a touchdown. Give it to Dylan in the middle up on the next play, 21-3. But that 14-3 turned into 14-6, and then Tampa did score a touchdown. Packers didn't do anything after that second touchdown in the second quarter. Just nothing at all throughout the rest of the game. Offense really got stagnant. That's been the issue. They didn't do anything in the second half against the Vikings. They didn't do anything in the whole game against the Vikings, but against the Bears, after getting the lead, they didn't do anything in the second half. And then this week against Tampa, they didn't do anything in the second half. Those are some concerns, but Rodgers played well enough, threw 2 touchdown passes. He did throw that interception to Logan Ryan. Looked like Robert Tonyan kind of ran a wrong route on that play, but still kind of a bad throw, bad decision. Crucial moment. Really can't throw interceptions, not against Tom Brady. We just kept giving Brady more and more chances. That's something I thought was going to bite us in the butt eventually. Luckily, our defense is much better than anyone really thought. After week 1, they are what they were saying they would be. They're getting into their form, and it's super exciting. And then, big news of the day yesterday was David Bakhtiari starting for the first time in over 21 months. It was a long road for David. A lot of people wanted him cut. A lot of people wanted him off the team. They said he was done. It was the end of the road, all these things. I kept saying, no, they know something we don't know. He's going to be back. I mean, there's no reason why, if they knew he was done, they would just keep this charade going on. These teams invest a lot of money. They would figure out an injury settlement. It would be done. It would be quick, So I knew he was okay, and I was just pushing for him to get back, and hopefully he wouldn't have setbacks. And to see him out there was amazing. To see him on some of those run blocks was amazing. You can see the difference. Yash is good. He's good. He's solid. He can play the position. It's great to have him. Bakhtiari really loves Yash, and being able to alternate like they did shows what kind of pros they both are. Really shows what kind of pro Yash is. And Bach was able to play really well, I just really liked how he looked out there, and really a nice plan by LaFleur to say, hey guys, we're going to have you alternate, series and not put so much pressure on Bakhtiari coming back. And I think they both bought in, and you kind of wonder how they're going to get into a rhythm out there, and it didn't seem to really bother either of them. So really exciting that it worked out. The rest of the offensive line played really well. Rodgers only got sacked, I think, 1 time. So That's really impressive. Only a few pressures. He was really excited about how they played. John Runyan Jr. at left guard played good. Josh Myers played well until he went out with an injury. Jake Hansen came in and played better at center than I did. I think he played at right guard. I think he's a better center, but Myers is the starting center. So if Hansen has to play center, I like him better at center than I do at right guard. I like Newman better at right guard, but I'd rather have Zach Tom there. But you guys know that. But Alkin Jenkins at right tackle. Didn't even hear his name called. Didn't really even hear, Shaq Barrett at all. That's a tribute to these tackles playing so well. But Alkin Jenkins just shut down anybody on his side. He's really going to start coming into form, and you're just not going to even hear about that side at all. That's what he does, and that's how good he is. He will probably be Pro Bowl right tackle if he just continues to stay healthy and play like he has. Amazing. But the story of the game, the story of the day, the story of Victory Monday is this Packers defense. 23 points in the first game against the Vikings. Kind of an offensive explosion from Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. And now Justin Jefferson's got shut down the last 2 weeks by Darius Slay and the Udoku, the Detroit Lions cornerback. So Jair really should have been on in week 1. It would have been a shutdown situation just like the last 2 weeks. But they went the zone route. And Justin Jefferson burned them. So, but this defense really figured it out. Jair went out with an injury, the groin injury, but to hold or to allow 23 points that first week, and then only 10 last week against the Bears, and then only 12 this week against Tampa and the GOAT. And I know their offense is injured, and everybody was saying, oh, he didn't have his top receivers, but Rodgers didn't have Watkins or Watson either. So, I mean, everybody kept saying that Brady didn't have his guys, but either did Rodgers, and Rodgers doesn't even have, doesn't have Devontae. They kept saying he doesn't have Gronkowski. It's like, yeah, Gronk retired. Devontae got traded. We know, I just don't understand bringing that up. We know what they have. He still didn't get it done. Big win in Tampa, but yeah, to have the last 2 games scores be less than the first week's just shows the progress this team has made. Really huge strides, and each level of this defense is showing up and showing out. Like I was talking about all offseason, I was so excited about this defense. After week 1, it was hard to justify what happened on the field, but I was still sticking with what I had been saying. And Campbell, 14 tackles, made the play of the game at the end, strafing with Tom Brady's eyes, and then jumping, getting his huge 6'3" self up in the air, tipping the ball up. And it looked like Russell Gage had kind of like an in and out route to the back pylon, and it was going to be a race to the pylon, and hopefully Brady could get the ball there. But Darnell Savage had the inside on him, and he was stride for stride with him. Even if Campbell didn't tip it, it looked like it would have been picked or knocked down by Savage, but, Campbell made sure that it wasn't even going to be an issue. He got his big self up there and knocked the ball away. Huge game for him. Kenny Clark, he had 2 sacks. That's huge in the middle. Just multiple pressures. This guy is a beast. Then Rashawn Gary got his 3rd sack. He's on his way to the 15-sack prediction, like I was saying. Darnell Savage, he had the great coverage on that play, like I was saying, and he also had a fumble recovery. That was the one that I believe Nixon, I think Nixon forced that one, and Jaron Reed covered the one that Walker, it was the one that Walker did, Savage got, and the one that Nixon forced, Reed got. That's how it went. So, but yeah, got it on the stat line. Nixon came in for Jair, played great on defense, forced the fumble, great in coverage. I always thought he was a decent coverage corner, and then great on special teams. We all saw him get the ball at like the inch line. Couldn't get any closer to the end zone than he got. And like I said, Quay Walker forced that fumble. He was all over the field. You can start to see him kind of turning into a mini Devondre Campbell. Just super quick, super explosive. He's just going to keep getting better and better. That'll be exciting to watch. So yeah, a lot of guys on this defense. Like I said, all different levels, from Clark and Gary to Campbell and Walker and Reed to Nixon to Savage. Just huge. And then Douglas I think he had 8 tackles, which is a lot for a corner. He had like 8 or like a bunch of 8 targets against him, but only gave up like 47 yards or something like that. I have the stats in a minute, but that's pretty impressive. He was great in coverage. You know, he did give up some receptions, but not a lot of yards, and he stayed with his guys in the slot, and he really was all over Beasley. He got burned on that one little first down, but otherwise Douglas had his number. And then Eric Stokes. This guy probably will make a Pro Bowl this year. He won't, no one's going to say his name much because he doesn't get targeted that often because he is a shutdown guy. Having him coming into his own like he has been, and then having a healthy Jair Alexander is going to be huge. Hopefully Jair and this groin isn't an issue. I'll get to more of that in a minute, but I'm excited to see how Stokes has developed over time. Just really great play from the corners. Great plays from Savage and Amos. Amos was great on run defense. You could see him coming down in the box and making some run stops. Really big, especially against Fournette on some of those screens and things like that. He was getting after him, and once Fournette gets going on those screens, he can be tough to get down. So huge plays by him. And then like I've already said with Keyshawn Nixon, those special teams plays, obviously not a lot of kicks or extra field goals or anything. Crosby made both of his extra points. Kickoff coverage was good. Punt coverage was amazing, obviously, with Nixon getting the ball like where he did. But Pat O'Donnell had 5 punts within the 20-yard line. That shows that the Packers, you know, couldn't move the ball really, but moved it to like midfield enough that O'Donnell could just put it right where he needed to. I think O'Donnell set some kind of record for the Packers. Has not been done for a long time in this Packers organization. Exciting for him. He is really a great punter. I thought he would be. He's an old vet. He punted for Chicago. Always punted well for them. Knows how to punt in weather. And just had a really solid day. And there was one punt or a high snap on the punt from Jack Coco. But otherwise, Coco has been playing great. If you don't hear his name, that means he's doing his job. So that's awesome and just really productive special teams. Even Amari Rodgers, no kick returns, but had some punt returns. I think one got called back on a punt, on a hold or something, or blocking the back. But for the most part, Amari did his job, caught all the balls, no muffs this week. Really exciting for him. Then, so top 5 offensive players. Kind of funny. By grade, Randall Cab was graded the highest. He had like an 81 on PFF, which for a guy that everybody said was washed, for a guy that everybody thought was done, for a guy that's only here because Rodgers wants him here, for him to get graded so high is huge. He produced 57 yards on only 2 catches and 45 yards after the catch and broke 2 tackles. That's huge for Cobb. We all saw him on that 40-yard dart play where he was just trying to beat the corner as far down the field as he could with the angle he had. He's really good at doing that, and he still has some decent speed. So exciting to see for Cobb. Then Romeo Doubs was second highest graded at 74.8. Great for the rookie. 8 targets, 8 catches for him. Really exciting to see Doubs play and do so well. 49 yards after the catch. This guy is shifty, hard to get down. Doesn't usually get tackled by the first guy in front of him. And he's just going to keep getting better and better. But 8 targets, 8 catches, that's pretty huge for a rookie. Most receptions by a rookie in a long time. It's been many years, and I think Max McGee has the Packers record at 9. So that is doable for a guy like Romeo Doubs. I think he could get that record this year at some point. He's just going to keep developing into more of that number 1 wide receiver role like I thought he would. Allen Lazard is going to be a great wide receiver too. Sammy Watkins and Cobb alternating slots going to be a great slot guy. And then having Watson as the big play, deep threat, wide receiver 3, he's really going to come into his own. I like this structure, and I really think it can be huge. Watkins and Cobb kind of switching off in that injury-prone, older guy, slot role could be really good for them. Take the pressure off of both of those guys. So something to watch there. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers was number 3. He had a 70.3. That interception knocked his PFF grade down a lot. He could have had a lot better day without that. But he completed a lot of his passes. decent amount of yards, 2 touchdowns. He played well. Liked what I saw to him. Obviously, a good bounce back after week 1. Last week was 2, but another good game. Interceptions, though, starting to tick up there. Something to work on. Alan Lazard, another receiver, graded at 69.1. That is crazy, considering that everybody said these Packers didn't have anybody to throw to. Lazard, like I said, 69, but he had 4 catches, 45 yards, another touchdown after last week, having a touchdown in his second week back, having 2 touchdowns in both weeks that he's been back. That's huge for him. And then Tyler Davis got on here at a 69 or 68.4, almost 69, but he had a 23-yarder, which was huge on a 3rd down, despite being on the field for only 6 plays, which for a guy who had two catches, it was only on the field for 6 plays. That's pretty good. And that 23-yarder was a big deal. Huge for him. Exciting. I'm excited that he's finally starting to do something for this Packers team. It looked like he might have gotten cut there for a minute in training camp, but we all know he kind of bounced back in those last couple of preseason games. That last week of camp, he was really good, and we knew the Packers were high on him. Glad to see kind of some of the pressures off of him. He can just do his job, and he made a nice contested catch and got upfield. He looks like he can play. Rodgers seems to trust him a little bit. That's the biggest issue. Rodgers has to start trusting these guys downfield. It looks like those scripted plays in the first quarter, first half, Rodgers is okay with. He trusts the guys. The guys know what they're doing. He trusts that they're going to know what they're doing. He trusts that they're going to know where they're going. But then when there's, later in the game, when you're starting to, call unscripted plays and starting to, go off of what you kind of thought you might do, these guys have to kind of read what's going on. They're not so set in what they're supposed to do. And that's when you have to trust that they're going to do what you hope they're going to do, so that when you throw the predicted route, they run exactly where they're supposed to be and not break it off or cut somewhere else. That's how mistakes happen, bad plays happen, when guys are on different pages. So that's what Rodgers is afraid of, so he's got to start getting over that. These guys can play. Just start getting it downfield a little bit, Run short little screens or slants and things like that. Just, you got to get some yards. You got to get these guys the ball. I don't know what to do, but that first 2 drives were great. Can't stall out after that. We play teams like Buffalo soon. Detroit looks good on offense. Dallas, Philly, Rams, Miami. We're going to have to keep up with these teams. We're not going to be able to just score 14 points and win these games. But this defense held Tampa Bay to 12 points. That is amazing. Kenny Clark was the highest graded player on the defense, 87. Obviously, that is huge. He is, 2 sacks. That's great for him. Eric Stokes, 75.9. Like I said, shutdown corner all day. Douglas, 75. Another shutdown corner all day. Dean Lowry, huge in the middle. And Rashawn Gary, another 67. Huge for him. Devondre Campbell, 14 tackles, but wasn't even on the top 5 for the defense. And then Devontae Wyatt, a guy who everybody wants to hear about, everybody's talking about, everybody was saying cut him, get rid of him, he's a bust. And I'm saying, look at Jordan Davis. He only has 1 tackle, hasn't even been in the game at all, doesn't really fit on the Eagles defense much. Devontae Wyatt's a rookie. Obviously, he's a little bit older. I thought he'd come on quicker, but this guy on just 7 snaps earned a PFF grade of 90.7. He had 1 pressure on 5 snaps or 5 rushes, so that's how he got graded so high. But still, that is huge for the kid. He's just going to keep getting better and better. Gary was all over the place. He had his sack. Like I said, Clark got his too. So Packers are starting to get sacks, starting to force fumbles, starting to make some plays out there, which is huge. I don't know how guys that, force fumbles don't get graded higher on these things. I don't know what PFF looks at. They don't even really tell everybody how they grade everything. That's kind of the secret of PFF, but it's a good, gauge of how guys played, and it's interesting to see who did what, and they do break down things in an interesting way. So, Douglas was targeted 8 times, but gave up just 41 receiving yards, and he broke up a pass. So that's cool, that's huge. So just to be so efficient on defense, especially against Tom Brady. I know they didn't have the receivers that they normally have, but still, these guys only can play with who they're playing against or play against who they're playing against. So, just awesome to see them shut them down. Brady only had, I mean, that last drive was like 80 yards and it was all passing. And so Brady padded his stats, and that's how he got above Rodgers overall. But for the most part, the Packers shut them down all game. They knew that the Tampa Bay could only tie it, so they were playing soft. I know they were. They were kind of, hoping they could stop the touchdown, but they were playing soft, kind of letting everything underneath, not getting beat deep, trying to drain out the clock. They let them go down the field. They scored, which, was a good play by Brady. And then the two-pointer with the delay game saved us. I don't know if Fournette would have got there on the run, but maybe he would have. He's a big back. Tough situation. He might have got in. Maybe not, though. There was a few Packers there. Wasn't as open as the Tampa Bay probably thought it was going to be. But now the Packers can try to build some momentum going into the next 4 games. They have at home against the New England Patriots, who are 1-2. And Mac Jones might be injured. They might start Brian Hoyer. Then they have the New York Giants in London, who they're playing Dallas right now. I wanted to get this done before the end of the game. Hopefully, Giants can beat Dallas. I don't even care if they're going to be 3-0. I'm not too worried about the Giants. I don't think they're that good. I just want them to beat Dallas. Then they have the Jets at home, so that's another game. They're 1-2, even with Flacco, or if they get Wilson back, I think that's a game the Packers can win. And then they have at the Washington Commanders, which is a game that I think they can win before they go to Buffalo and to Detroit. So if they can get these next 4 games, they'll be 6-1 before they know it. And then they have at Detroit, or at Buffalo, at Detroit. And that's when the games start getting difficult and the season really gets on their way. Once we start hitting October, their November stretch, playoff implications and everything start really being important. So to really get some momentum here would be huge, but there are some concerns after the Tampa Bay Bucks game. Jones and Dillon Jones had 47 yards on 15 touches, and Dillon had 38 yards on 14 touches, which is 2.9 yards per touch. That's not going to cut it. Last week, Dillon was at like 3.4 yards, and Jones was, I don't even know what he was at. He had 132 yards, I think, on 15 carries, which almost 9 yards a carry, which is insane. He had 230. They had 237 total yards last week against the Bears, 6.4 yards per touch combined between the two of them. And you can expect that teams are going to go after trying to shut down the run games, put the game on Rodgers and these young playmakers at receiver. Guys like Belichek next week, the Patriots will probably do that. But Dillon and Jones not being able to get it going is a testament to how good the Tampa Bay Bucks defense really is. I get that. But, Jones did look like he was hot. The heat looked like it was affecting him. Dillon he has an issue with not really trying to run with where his blockers are. He kind of is trying to make his own space. He's got to work with his blockers more like Jones. I love Dillon as a running back. I just think he can run a little bit different. It could really help him progress as a back, and he can really take that next step. He's got to run a little bit harder, run like he's bigger and stronger than the guys who are trying to tackle him, which he normally is, and then follow his blocks in a little bit better way. Jones is so explosive. He just didn't have that explosion like he did against the Bears. He looked like the best player on the field against the Bears, and he just didn't look like the best player on the field against the Bucks. It's going to be a concern moving forward. Belichick's probably the biggest concern after the next 3 games. After that, I think the Packers will be able to run the ball, but hopefully at home next week, they'll be able to get back going on the ground. 85 yards between the two of those guys, the two-headed monster, isn't great. Not great for them hitting that 1,000-yard combined or each total. They need 59 yards a game for them to hit 1,000 yards each this season. So 38 yards and 47 yards respectively isn't quite good enough. Obviously, Jones really altered that last week, so that does help, but still, you want to keep the averages up, and they weren't able to do that on Sunday. And then, like I was saying before, if teams are really pushing for, Jones and Dillon to be stopped. Belichick's going to aim for them to be stopped. What are they going to do about the long ball? They haven't been throwing the long ball. Only one was completed against Tampa. That was the one in the fourth quarter, the 26-yarder to Allen Lazard. That's just not going to work. They're going to need to get some deep passes going. They're going to need to figure it out. I don't know what they're going to do. There was that one to Cab, but it was still short that he busted along, and the slant to Doubs that he kind of busted along. But really nice plays. They just need to start pushing the ball down the field more. I don't know. Hopefully Watson can come back. That might help a lot. We'll see what his hamstring looks like. But it is a concern if teams do start stopping the run. What is the Packers' next phase going to be? What is their counter going to be? How are they going to figure it out? Hopefully Jones and Dillon only had issues as a product of the Heat, product of the Tampa defense, things of that nature. But hopefully they can get it going. I think if Jones doesn't fumble there, the Packers score, get up 21-3. I think the rest of the game looks a lot different on offense, and I think the Packers are able to run the ball. They were forced to kind of throw the ball late because they were trying to keep the momentum going, and they kept just out scheming themselves, and some of the play calling wasn't the best. So it was tough situation. A lot of back and forth, a lot of turnovers at the end there. Back and forth, and big win for us. But another concern is Jaire Alexander's groin. Right away after the game, Jaire was all smiles. He didn't seem like it was an issue. He is expected to undergo more tests this week. Should be tomorrow, if not, later today. But he gave no indication that it was a severe injury, and it doesn't look to be so. So I hope he's okay. Shouldn't be a big issue. No real word on if Bakhtiari is having some crazy knee setback. I don't think that is the case. I think he is excited. He was all high on adrenaline last night after the game, saying, he's just so pumped to be back. And what an awesome moment. 21 months, all the setbacks, all the success before that, and then to take so long to get back, that is huge. I'm excited for him. I got to get to this game. Oh, it's over. I totally missed it, and now Dallas is way up. So I missed that. Should have figured Giants lost, but now Packers are not going to have to face an undefeated team if the Giants were able to win next week. Not going to be a big issue. Hopefully they win against them in London. So, all right, looking ahead, though, real quick. We'll get to more of it later. Packers beat the Bucs 14-12. That is huge. They beat Tom Brady. They are now 2-1. So now next week, at home, at Lambeau, Packers will face the New England Patriots. And, without Jaire Alexander, maybe Packers should be healthy. Otherwise, we'll hear about Watson. We know Watkins is still out for another 3 weeks. But Mac Jones has a high ankle sprain. He's expected to miss some time, which means that Brian Hoyer, 36-year-old, turns 37 next month, is expected to start. It's his 13th season. He's played 39 games. I think he's beat the Packers in the past when he was he on the Browns? He was on a team that beat the Packers. That was a weird win, and I'm not sure what team it was. He's been around the league, but maybe they didn't beat him. Maybe he just played well. But either way, he's a guy that could come out with the Patriots and play decent. They do have some weapons. We'll get into more of the Patriots later on in the week. But obviously it's Belichick week now. So got to be prepared. Got to be ready. Got to, mentally be prepared and physically be prepared. Hopefully these injuries, we can get these guys back, Watson and Alexander. But we will see what's up with them. So, all right, guys. Go Packers. Victory Monday. I'm pumped. I cannot believe they won. I figured maybe a loss at Minnesota this year just because of last year, but I thought Chicago win. I thought Tampa maybe would have been a loss, and then I thought we'd go on this win streak here. So to get this win at Tampa is huge, and now we go on a little win streak, kind of like we did last year. Started 0-1 and won 7 straight, was 7-1 before we knew it. We could be 6-1 before we go to Buffalo, which would be awesome. All winnable games from here on until, what day is that? October 30th. So right before Halloween, Packers could be 6-1, and that would be really awesome. Hopefully that's the case. Got to get through Belichek and the Patriots first. We'll get into more of that next week. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Check out other videos and other shorts and all that stuff. So appreciate you guys for watching. Go Packers again. Peace out, and see you guys next time.